4 men have been convicted of the drive-by murder of Anthony Sargeant, who was known as the King of Leebank. The dad of 8 was fatally injured after being gunned down outside his mother's home in Birmingham. 4 men have today been convicted of the murder, which took place in Leebank in August 2018. His killers also tried to shoot someone else before fleeing. Connor Goodwin is 27, Michael Goodwin is 26, both of Albury, Leon Riley, who's 21, were all found guilty of murder following a 14-week trial at Birmingham Crown Court. Keenan Anderson, who's 25, was also convicted of murder. They had all denied the charge, and sentencing on all 4 has been adjourned. There was a 5th man, DANTE Mullings, also took part in the shooting, but he himself was shot and killed in another drive-by shooting in May 2019, just yards from a primary school in St Vincent Street in Ladywood, which is a story that I previously reported, and I'll put the link in the description below. As a result of the revenge gang attack, 4 men were given life sentences in April last year after being found guilty of conspiracy to murder. The killers of Mr. Sargeant, who was 33 years old, had driven from Ladywood in a convoy of 2 vehicles, a BMW and a Mercedes, on August 25th, 2018 to Rickman Drive. Both of those cars were stolen in a burglary and both were driving on fake number plates. Annabelle Darlow QC, the prosecutor, said at least 2 shots were fired. One struck him in the back. Another of the bullets passed through one of the windows of Mr. Sargeant's mother's home. The emergency services were called. He was treated at the scene and taken to hospital. However, his condition deteriorated, and on the 31st of August, 6 days after he was shot, he died. She said the shooting took place at around 9:40 p.m. and afterwards the convoy drove away from Rickman Drive and they drove past Bath Row, and those in the vehicle spotted another target or targets. A loud bang was heard at the scene and 2 young black males were seen to flee. One fled in such a panic he left behind one of his shoes. As part of the West Midlands Police investigation, detectives uncovered images showing the 4 killers celebrating Goodwin's birthday at a pub in Hockley less than 24 hours after the shooting, and while Mr. Sargeant lay dying in hospital. Today, Mr. Sargeant's family spoke out and said almost 4 years ago, our son, our father, brother and uncle was murdered as he innocently walked down the road outside his mother's home. Today, after sitting through months of trial, we finally have justice for him, although it will never be enough. However, we still have to live through a lifetime of pain and heartache of him being taken away from his family. 8 fatherless children now finding their way through life without their provider, teacher and superhero. Anthony was such a bubbly, energetic, witty soul, and we will do everything to ensure he is not forgotten. Finally, we would like to thank West Midlands Police for bringing the case before Birmingham Crown Court and the Crown Prosecution Service for their outstanding efforts within this case. Police said that the gun was recovered during a police raid in Derbyshire in November 2019. Experts from the National Ballistics Intelligence Service were able to prove it was the same weapon used to kill Mr. Sargeant, using unique markings on the weapon. Detective Inspector Hannah Whitehouse, the senior investigating officer, said, "We may never know why Mr. Sargeant was murdered, but we have been able to prove that these men acted together, travelling in a convoy of 2 stolen cars across Birmingham to go to Rickman Drive, where Anthony Sargeant was shot. They have shown no remorse, denying the offence throughout. This investigation has been highly complex and challenging, and it shows that West Midlands Police will relentlessly pursue those responsible for using firearms on our streets." Ian Head, the head of the intelligence for NABIS, Governance and International Development, said firearms very often move around the UK from place to place and from crime group to crime group, and once recovered, NABIS are able to ballistically link them to previous firearms discharges. Evidence recovered from scenes allows us to forensically link firearms that have been used in previous shootings. Upon receiving the evidence into our facilities, our forensic experts are able to connect scenes using state-of-the-art technology. Firearms have unique markings in a similar manner to fingerprints that enable this forensic examination to take place. Our analysts then disseminate this ballistic intelligence to senior investigating officers to assist with convictions, as we did in this case. Rest in peace, Anthony Sargeant, and my condolences go out to your family. So as I said just a bit ago, one of the killers of Anthony Sargeant was actually murdered himself. He was gunned down in a gang-related drive-by shooting. So DANTE Mullings had been part of the team that had killed Anthony Sargeant. So on May the 7th, 2019, at around 5 p.m, Mr. Mullings, a dad of two, had been sitting in a Vauxhall Corsa in Ladywood. It was parked just yards from a primary school. A Volkswagen sat pulled up alongside, and then a person inside opened fire. At least 8 shots were fired in quick succession, with front seat passenger Mullings left dying at the scene from wounds to his back. So Mr. Mullings, it was said, had been executed in a revenge attack because it was believed that he and the others he was with were responsible for attack on another man, Kimani Shaw. Mr. Shaw had been a victim of a serious stabbing attack, and the day before the shooting, some of Mr. Mullings' killers had gone to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital where Mr. Shaw was fighting for his life. As I said, I'll put a link to that story in the description below. And with regards to another defendant in this case, Keenan Anderson, I'll put a link to the video in the description below to this story as well, because he was part of a gang which were jailed for more than 20 years over a £330,000 string of terrifying hold-ups across Birmingham. Him and his gang targeted cash points and money deliveries during a 4-month reign of terror. Axes were brandished during some of the raids, and one of the gang took bragging pictures of holding substantial amounts of cash in stolen £20 notes. So in that case, Anderson, who admitted possessing a stun gun and cannabis, was sentenced to 10 years and 9 months, and his pal Garrick was jailed for 12 years and 11 months. So in a breakdown of events in that case, April the 17th, they first struck at a shop in Handsworth when an axe was used to threaten staff, and they made off with £100,000 from a cash machine. So all these months I'm going to mention are from back in 2019. Then on May the 8th, the raiders, disguised and wearing dark clothing, next targeted a post office in Rookery Road in Birmingham. May the 10th, they robbed a petrol station. May the 13th, the gang took £11,000 from a money exchange. May the 14th, the gang next robbed Barclays Bank in Hockley of £25,000 after attacking the security guard by punching him to the back of the neck. One of the defendants then visited a builder's merchants and bought a circular saw and 2 blades. May the 22nd, dressed in hoodies with their hoods up, the raiders attacked another post office in College Road in Handsworth, taking a cash box containing £22,000 from a guard after shoving him to the ground. July the 10th, while a further £20,000 was stolen from Small World store in Birchfield Road after a G4S guard was rugby tackled and his cash box seized. July the 18th, the final raid was on a one-stop in Vicarage Road, and the cash machine there was about to be refilled when £20,000 was taken and an axe again brandished. The prosecutor said that only £550 had been recovered from Anderson's home, and there was evidence of quite large sums being spent on jewellery. So guys, this is a story coming from the West Midlands. Let me know what you think. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.